when you do hard stuff and you keep your promises to yourself, you impress yourself, you build confidence within yourself. You can't build confidence by writing a bunch of things on a wall and like reciting them to yourself, right? The confidence comes from, I can't believe I got that done. I even doubted I could do it, but I stuck with it and I tried it and I did do it. I mean, countless times. And when you build those up, you just become like a force that, you almost feel like there's nothing you can achieve within reason. I'm not saying, you're stupid about it, but yeah. So I think those moments, I mean, people ask me a lot about the championship climbing events. What's your favorite climb? What year was your favorite year? You know which ones aren't? Really? The ones I won. They're not the most memorable to me.
Yeah.
They're fantastic because it acknowledges that you achieved something you were set out to achieve. But that was never really the ultimate goal. I mean, to me, it's like some of the most wonderful climbs I had were such difficult climbs that I didn't place fourth. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't like I was at the top, and some of the things I'm most proud of is like hitting adversity. Like, thinking about an example, like in Nashville, my second event. My first event was work climb. I was number one in a tree, as we all know is not the best spot. It's difficult. On that level, it's even harder to be the first one up. You don't see anything. You don't know what's that. You don't get to learn from each other. I'm first one up. I won that event that year. Won the work climb, which is like, to me, was a boost because I'm like, all right, so that showed me, even though I was doubting it, it actually worked out.
Mm-hmm.
My next event, throw line, I got a 0. The very next event, what did I do? I used my confidence from things I've done prior and I put it in the rearview mirror and I didn't think about it. You know what I did that year? Won the prelims.
Oh,
with a 0
in throw line.
I did that twice. And the reason I mention it is because a lot of people have this long-term memory. Like they can't forget about something they screwed up. What I've learned, and this isn't me speaking, I've learned it from listening to other people talk on podcasts and all these other things. Some of the most impressive achievers in anything you look at in life, one thing they share a quality is they can put stuff behind them in about 6 seconds, like no time.
Yep.
That was not great, but you know what? Now I got to focus on this. I don't even remember that anymore. I'm going on. And I think I've tried to teach people that when we talk theory on climbing, I said, whatever happened in the event behind you, forget it. And I tell them the story about like winning prelims. Why? Because it makes it achievable when you hear someone else has done it.
Yep.
And I'm not the first one, by the way, but it made a big difference in how I approach a lot of things in life. These setbacks sometimes are your best gift.
Yeah, they're learning experience for sure. And it's funny, I don't know how many people watching are sports fans, but I feel this way too about sports figures that I've watched. Pitchers and quarterbacks, I always think, because they're in the spotlight. Guys making a drive, there's limited time on the clock, he throws a pick. He throws an interception. Yeah. He can either just sulk back to the bench, but he's got to make another play later. Yeah. Well, now what did you learn? Did you know where that defender was, right? So what I'm hearing is that same mentality. And I want to make sure, I just want to hit the pause for a second and make sure that you just unpacked so much valuable, basically like mental warfare information. So if you're listening and this is going by quick, do yourself a favor and go back and listen to that last 3-minute rant for a minute, because it's and I have this thing. I did a thing in my I have a little website where I dump information and I write, and I have a thing where I talk about those challenges and people that have achieved great things through those adversities, and it's like it's a law of nature. I want to build a muscle, I break it down. My bone breaks, they set it, it calcifies where that break was. Yep. That tree moves and bends, where does it lay down most wood? Where it's most stressed. Yep. So this is literally a universal law, a law that, in my opinion, and I don't hide from this, it's one of God's laws. It's one of the principles. We stress and we strain and we rub up against life. We work hard, we get calluses, our hands are more equipped.
Absolutely.
So that stress and strain you're talking about, if we learn to embrace, and now this is a big thing with like Goggins and all, embrace the suck, do the hard things.
And we all love what Goggins stands for and how he is. He's a great influence.
And this is it's like that whole embrace the suck mentality. Definitely
super critical. To the point, which will lead right into my next question, because the problem I'm having, like the three of us can talk about the suck.
Yeah.
We have people, we have more than, like we have a lot of people we can connect with that can understand that and do the same thing. Since you're here, one of the questions I wanted to ask was, how do you get people, I don't want to say get them to embrace the suck, but you know what I mean? Cause
not shy away from it.
Not shy away from it. And like for what I'll hear a lot from people is like, oh, you're intense, you're crazy, I can't do what you do, I can't get to that level.
I agree. I heard that myself.
Yeah. Okay, so have you, is there like, in a nutshell, is there a way that you can talk to that person to make them not idolize you in this big way? Even myself too, but like, dude, I'm just a dude like you. I just have a mindset that I worked on and got to this point. So my question is, have you figured out a way to break that down to a simple conversation for the person who does that to you?
Conversation-wise, not that easily, because I think everyone's a little different. And in order to connect with them, they don't all respond the same way, so it's hard. I think sometimes actions speak louder than words in that regard. So a simple example is, you see someone struggling with a certain type of task, and you actually do it with them, alongside them, not just doing it for them. It helps them to start to learn, like, oh, I can do this too. Like, and some of the biggest moments that reinforced it in my mind are times where, and I watched this, I learned this from my father directly. I watched him, like, we go into some areas and it's like the worst type of work you can do as an arborist. I put on Instagram a lot when I'm doing it, because it doesn't even look like tree work. It's
like the swamp stuff.
Swamp stomping, using your chainsaw like it's a lawnmower because you can't bring anything else in there, to cut small stuff down that are incompatible brush, for example, which is stuff you can't leave in the power line corridor, for example. The reason I bring that up is because there are times where that is just hard for any arborist, tree climber, ground worker to want to do. It's just physical labor and there's no thought to it. And it's just, watching my father be the first one in there countless times, being the owner of the company, made everyone else okay with doing it. So I've always done that. I led by example because of his example to me. But one time in particular I think about is, we were on a power line corridor, and I've told this story a couple times in this settings because to me it's the number one thing that pops in my head. We're on a power line corridor. We're working in this dry area, and we're doing tree work and ground work where you can't do anything, but you have to hand cut it, for example, when you're doing the small trees. The low wires there. There's a stream that zigs and zags, that cuts off the corridor, brings it back in, goes into the woods, comes back. You end up with like a little island you can't get to, except if you spend 3 hours trying to find a hike through a trail, which is whatever. I mean, literally 3 hours. You have to move, park, hike in some properties, try to find it. Or you bring a boat and cross this, 15-foot, neck high or chest high for me stream.
Yep.
I look over there and I say, all right, it is like 15, 20 minutes worth of work, not worth a 3-hour hike. I don't need climbing gear. It's groundwork. I look at my guys and I'm like, do I want to come back here with a boat? Because that means, okay, I have to come back another day, park, drag it in here, put it in there. It's a hot day. The water isn't great. It was in an area of New Jersey I didn't really want to go swim in. Long story short is, I said to my guys, listen, keep working on this here, what we're doing. I said, I'm going to go grab that little pocket of tall brush under that 34.5 line. It's going to take me 15, 20 minutes max, not a big deal. How you going to get there? I said, well, I'm just going to wade through the stream. Really? Yeah. All right. So I do. And they documented with pictures and stuff. Take at the time, my 200T over my head. I sink into this murky water and I'm striding through, and I'm not even all the way, I'm more than halfway across. And what do I hear? Splash.
Somebody's behind you.
Splash. I look by. It's like the lemons jumping in the water after me. Every single
great.
guy jumped in.
Wow,
and
dude. Nobody
nobody wanted to go up to they're wearing climbing boots. They're not waders or anything.
Yeah.
Not that waders would help in that, because literally one guy was so short he's swimming and everyone's laughing at him because he's swimming. And I'm like, that's not really, whatever. But the point is that it taught me a lot that what I was taught to do and what I am doing is the right way to empower people to embrace the suck. Because none of that work is fun. none of what I'm doing has to be fun. However, they're all smiling and laughing. We're leaving there. They're jumping in, splashing each other.
Yep.
You know, one guy's on another guy's back. You know, like he's marching him out because he's a little shorter, and then it's like harder for him. But I think those times in my life just reinforce that we're on the right track, and this is the right way because there's really no other way. It's a hard way, but it actually makes the next almost hard way seem easy because you hit that hard way.
You think there's
just like working out?
You think there's a bonding that occurs through that process?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think the morale goes through the roof when everybody's together and doing the hard stuff.
Yep.
When it's so easy, there's no morale boost. No one's learning and growing. You don't learn until you're challenged, and doing the mundane stuff isn't challenging. It's just those times where you get taken out of your comfort zone and you get pushed, whether it's weather, whether it's working with someone, that stuff challenges you. And when you get through it, you're like, man, I can do this.
Yeah.